In the lead up to the 2021 British Grand Prix, Formula 1 unveiled a concept car to demonstrate what the teams might come up with for 2022, when new regulations designed to promote closer racing will come into effect. But what have they actually done? And how will it work? And will F1 fans get the close racing they've been dying for so long? Now for this video I'll be using the RSS Formula Hybrid X mod for Assetto Corsa, as RSS also produce concept cars built to the letter of the Formula 1 rulebook. Now these cars aren't Mercs, they're not Red Bulls, they're not McLarens, they're not Ferraris, not AlphaTauris, they're certainly not Haas's because they've got pace. They're cars that could, theoretically, turn up on the grid and be totally legal. And because Assetto Corsa is so good in terms of the cameras and showroom view and all that stuff, I can get right in on the detailed models and show you what's going on, instead of a mess of half-baked MS Paint diagrams that have been quickly drawn in less than 5 minutes. Because, you know, Chris Hayes sets the standard here and I've got to try and copy it. So first we need to look at the outgoing model of the car. There are bits and pieces all over the car designed to improve aerodynamic performance. Not as much as there was in, say, 2008 or so, but they are there. And these bits are on the car to produce downforce or just to help punch a hole in the air that, surrounds us. And we can see the most notable of these around the barge board area and also on the rear wing. And while this can get the car to around 230 miles an hour in qualifying trim at Monza, the air coming off the back of the car, known as wake or just simply dirty air, is at a level where the car behind cannot get close enough to the car ahead without sacrificing its own performance. And that is the reason we need things like DRS to facilitate overtaking and give the fans some on-track action. The cars have also got longer since the hybrid era began, with the width change for the 2017 season making them bigger still. The Mercedes in particular is the longest Formula 1 car on the grid. It's 5.7 metres long and 2 metres wide, which, according to one website, makes it bigger than Mercedes' road-going S-Class. Which is insane, considering in 2009 the Williams of that year was roughly 1 metre shorter. And this obviously affects racing. The bigger the cars are, the harder it is to race them. I mean, we saw in Formula E they were going like 2-3 wide up the run towards Beau Rivage at Monaco. When was the last time we saw Formula 1 cars doing that? But it not only affects the racing, but also how they look on camera. Go back and watch footage of sort of 2009 to 2013, the cars going through Maggots and Beckett to Silverstone, and then watch the modern cars do it. The older cars look much quicker, despite, well, not being quicker. And when you're filming in 4K 60 frames a second, it makes it look worse. Fernando Alonso driving his championship-winning Renault Abu Dhabi last year, it looked faster than it actually was. And the modern cars are heavier too. The minimum weight for 2021 is 752 kilos, and in 2022 that weight will go up again to 790 kilos. Dry. That's without fuel and without the driver. Before you've even put fuel in, that's heavier than a Lotus Elise. At the start of the race, these cars will be heavier than an Alfa Romeo 4C. That's heavy. We're pushing nearly 900 kilos here, which means, love him or hate him, Hamilton was right. The cars are getting too big and too heavy. His first World Championship winning car was 605 kilos as a minimum weight. Between 2008 and 2022, Formula 1 will have added just over half the weight of an adult grizzly bear onto the cars. And that's a lot of extra weight to be lugging around. That extra weight is coming from the new wheels. Formula 1 currently runs 13-inch rims, but in 2022 these will go to 18-inch and the tyres will have thinner sidewalls, the sort of thing that you see on high-performance road cars like the Ferrari LaFerrari, the McLaren P1 and things like that. The thinner sidewall should in theory have better tyre structural integrity, which means Baku shouldn't happen again, and in addition this will be less susceptible to overheating, which is a problem when you're behind another car through a sweeping section like the opening part of a lap of Suzuka. So it's all done to help the cars get closer together. The wheel rims will also have covers on them, and the FIA has considered putting LED boards on them to show position or something similar as the wheels spin, but I don't think that's actually going ahead, but RSS have put it on this car. And the reason for putting these wheel covers on, the first time since around 2009-2010 or so, is to stop teams from turning the wheel rims into aerodynamic devices and thus chucking out more dirty air. You know how Mercedes used the wheel rims to cool the brakes and stuff like that. So while the 2022 cars will have a slightly shorter wheelbase than the current cars, they will be packing a lot of weight. And they will be cleaner looking compared to this year as well, as the aerodynamics will now be mostly produced under the car as opposed to over the top. There are no barge boards, there are fewer flaps on the front wing, and a new styling on the rear wing, all in a bid to reduce dirty air. And while they are different on this model compared to the one revealed at Silverstone, the end plates on the front wing will be similar to those found on modern jet airliners such as the Airbus A320 with its shark fin wingtips that are designed specifically to reduce turbulent air, and similar things have been added onto jumbo jets such as the 747-800 and the Airbus A380 to allow smaller jets and planes to follow closer in landing queues. So where will the cars get their downforce from then? Well, the simple answer is ground effect. Not seen since the early 1980s. But not to the same extent as seen in the late 70s, early 80s with super low ride heights and side skirts, but underneath the car will be these large Venturi tunnels that air will be sucked into, and aerodynamic magic happens and a low pressure pocket is created, and it's that will pull the car in towards the ground and generate grip, as opposed to the current method where air passes over the wings and pushes the car into the ground and does all the downforce that way, although some of it does come from the rear diffuser. It is believed that it will cut the amount of dirty air off the back of the cars down from 40% to around 14%. That's a lot. This means that teams like Red Bull now need to change their design philosophy. High rake, which is something I covered a couple of weeks ago, otherwise known as face down booty up, will no longer be a thing because the Venturi tunnels need to be, close to the ground to stop air escaping out the sides and things like that. So Red Bull need to gather data fast to catch up to the low rake design philosophies used by teams like Mercedes and then copied, quite literally, by Aston Martin. But with all this comes a massive however. That design you saw parked up on the start-finish straight at Silverstone yesterday will be pretty much what the cars look like. Because the FIA is making damn sure that the teams can't find any loopholes in the rulebook to extract performance. And there will be differences between the cars, but you'll have to look for them, and even then you'd need to know what you're talking about. For 99% of us, the cars are going to look pretty much the same across the board. And Alpine chassis director Pat Fry said, "There are a few bits that are more vague and those bits you can interpret in a number of ways, but the bulk of it, the wording is there for us to work on." He later added, "There are a few things there which I don't think is in the FIA spirit. They look slightly different to what the original concepts were, and I don't think there are any gaping loopholes as such. And it is, compared to what we had in the past, very heavily regulated. Years ago you could read the rules and understand them. Now you need to read them, look at the CAD for an hour, and then go back and read the rules again. It's getting more and more complicated." And Fernando Alonso pretty much agreed, saying in Thursday's press conference, "I don't think there will be a big difference to what we see today. I think the regulations are quite strict, and there is not maybe the freedom we had in the past. There will be different philosophies for different teams. They will not look exactly the same as what we see today, but that will be for an expert eye. I think for normal people, it will not look too different to what we see today." And with the way Spec Series and Formula IndyCar have been chucked about online in the last 24 hours, well, he and the fans might be right. And a lot of people have already made their minds up about how these cars look. They don't like the front wing, they don't like the wheel covers, it's a B-Tech IndyCar and so on, but if it provides the racing they crave, then maybe sacrificing some form for the function might all be worth it in the end. And maybe, just maybe, they might leave the regulations alone for a bit after this. This is the third major rule change in 10 years, which adds to what I was saying last time out. Cost cutting, cost capping, but do 2 races a weekend. Cost cutting, cost capping, and now spend tens of millions redesigning your car every 4 years. So what do you think? Like it? Hate it? Indifferent? Waiting to see what happens? Waiting to see until they're painted in the liveries for the actual cars? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section and discuss. I mean, it's why I do this series after all. Well, I mean, this is just like a normal how motorsport works, but there's a bit of pressing issues in there as well. And while scrolling down, if you've learned something, give the video a like, and for more like this, hit subscribe with the bell on so you never miss a future video. Well, I mean, I say that, I get notifications for new videos from people I do have the bell on for like 2 days after the video's gone out sometimes, so GG YouTube. But anyway, massive thanks as always go out to the patrons of Patreon for their continued support, and if you want to join them in supporting me at a more personal level or just joining the Discord chat, links to that and other social media will be down in the description for you. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind, have a great day wherever you are, and goodbye.